Have any of you played around with the AI chat lead buddy?
No.
Okay, perfect. So, like I'd say maybe the last month or so, this is a fairly new thing that they've integrated. So within the site section, there is a chat widget that has always been there for the past, I'd say, 2, 3 years, that you can basically integrate a chat widget into a business's website. And the idea is that we collect the name, phone number, email here, and then we'll move the conversation to text where, we'll text from the back end to engage with those page visitors. But it's still a manual process. What we're doing here is just using this chat widget as a lead capture to engage with them while they're on your page. What's different now is that we're tying in this chat widget with conversational AI so that when any message comes in from the chat widget or any of these channels, like an Instagram DM, a Facebook DM, a text message, or a Google business profile message, we are going to have the system actually generate a response that is in the voice of your brand and your business and go back and forth to basically qualify a lead, get them booked on your calendar. And what this does is essentially automate your entire intake process. For example, this is just the initial setup where you can either make it where it'll generate a response and you still have to manually approve it, or you can just get it free reign where it will generate and send out the response to someone. You can override it or step in if you want to, but it'll just go ahead and have the conversation on its own. So I'm going to go into the configuring intent section. Essentially here, what we're doing is we're giving the bot a persona, saying that you're the bot for this business. Your job is to assist customers, build trust, guide customers towards booking an appointment. You can't help with the cancellation, rescheduling, or any of that. Let's just let them know politely that your main job is to answer questions and get new bookings. Here's the tonality that I want you to use. I want you to be casual, purposeful, and concise. I want you to mirror the customer's language and manner of speaking. So, if the customer is very formal, then it'll kind of adjust the tonality accordingly. Don't want you to use emojis. Here are some things I want you to avoid saying. Here are some things I do want you to say. So you're giving it a guideline of how you want it to speak in line with your business's voice so that it feels as though you are sending these messages. And then there's different rules. Like I want you to keep the responses very brief, concise. The customer strays, don't let the conversation go too crazy off track. And then from there, I want you to collect these pieces of information. So this is essentially my intake form. I typically want to collect these pieces of information on a form, but instead of doing it that way, I'm going to have this kind of done in a conversational format where I'm texting the person on the other end and they're responding, giving me that information. And so at the end of this, we want a call booked on our calendar, and we can specifically say, I want a calendar, or I want the appointments to be booked on this calendar. And if you have multiple team members, you can have it set to one where all 4 of you are available, different combinations, or whoever, you can just pick whichever calendar works best to have that intake call for. And then you can also give it your website to scrape through, and so it knows everything about your business. You can give it frequently asked questions and the answers so that when people are asking over text, it'll know how to answer those questions accordingly. And then the last thing is you can train it so that you can give it test scenarios where you pretending message it with questions, and you can actually grade it and say, this is a good response or this is not a good response. So this is an account I have set up for my virtual assistant agency. So I can say, hi there. And so it will come up with a response. And then, this is based on what kind of information it provided. And then it steers towards what's the name of your business. So I'm just going to say, going to go back and forth. It's going to ask the next question in the flow. And so I can grade it on the responses that it's giving me, saying, this is a bad response. I would rather you say this instead, or I can say, good job, this is good. I don't know how many of you are relying on web traffic for your businesses, but this also applies to Instagram DMs and Facebook DMs as well. So if you have people that are engaging with your posts or seeing your posts and then reaching out to you that way, this kind of helps to alleviate the responses to those messages, because it can get overwhelming at times when you have so many different channels that you're putting content out and all these different channels where people are reaching out to you. So this is a great way to automate that and not get overwhelmed with inbound messages that you're struggling to keep up with. And so, yeah, that was the first thing. If your website is built within Lead Buddy, it's a very easy integration. Really, it's just you have it set up in the site section and chat widget, and you just enable it on the specific website. That's a pretty easy integration. If you have your website built elsewhere, still pretty easy. You just set it up here, and then you click on Get Code, and it'll give you this information to add to your page. And then it takes about 10 minutes to set up, really. The entire training process for getting a bot trained and set up, takes like maybe 30, 40 minutes. You really just need a intake form of the pieces of information you want to collect, and think through your FAQs. Like, what questions are you commonly getting asked by people before they work with you, and then coming up with the answers for that. And a lot of times, ChatGPT is a great source or a great tool to come up with those.